Um, I hope you can hear me at this stage, and I hope the connection lasts. So please interrupt me if we lose, or I may have to turn off the image. So thank you. It's a privilege to be with you and just to listen to so many beautiful voices of change, of hope, of courage. And there is no way I can cover all that has been said, the richness of it. So I've tried to put things together into 5 steps. Um, I don't know if you want to stand up and walk around the room for a second, but please do if you need a change of seating. Um, so I'm going to start off with place. So I'm going to go back a little to the beginning of things. Place and contemplation, where we start off from in a way, or maybe where we end up in the evening. Josiane gave us a very beautiful and very painful insight that's taken generations, century, and spoke of how the land embraces those who have died and how the trees sang as she sought to give honor and witness to the souls of those oppressed. Sometimes the grief is so great, we cannot encompass it. And we must hand things over at times to God. Nature is the healing hand of God. Watch any sunrise, watch any sunset with our heart, and we feel that healing. We feel that touch of reconciliation. So I think for as much as the busyness of our office work and our family life and community life, we also need to find a place in creation. Maybe it's a place along the river bank, or a horizon, or maybe a corner in the garden, or where we grow some produce. But we need the healing for the humility, for the acceptance, and for the love. So in all of this movement forward, we need, as it were, to step aside at times for a moment. And this is the space to which we return, and to which, at the call, we step out from, and with humble confidence seek to engage. So number one, whether it's contemplation, whether it's healing, whether it's place, that's a root position, I feel, for us, and has given us strength in this conversation. As maybe the second point, I want to try to pull together some of the thoughts we've shared, is what I would call stepping into. It's also the beginning of solidarity. We move from a reflective prayer, we move from that wonderful exercise of journalizing. We move with that process. Sometimes we need poetry to express the human spirit, the humanity, and to build the trust. We cannot step forward without trust. We need not so much the self-propelled assurance of things, but the willingness to ask questions where there are no answers. This is a time where we have no answers. Yes, we try to put forward suggestions and strategies, but really the world is listening and the world is hoping, because we're in a new reality. And it's because we see reality with new eyes as well. There is no jump up answer. Um, so this solidarity is, I would say, in many ways of your expression and everything, reformulating itself. Solidarity is both the integrity being recognized, being honored of others, and how integral our conversations have been in how all of our concerns and our aspirations are connected. So, yes, we are part of the problem, and we humbly seek to be part of the solution. Socially, I think it was said, this is the catalyzing effect. What we're seeing now is a catalyzing effect of awareness. Sometimes I get very tired with awareness because it doesn't seem to bring us any further. But in this time of crisis, awareness does turn over leaves very rapidly, does open up new landscapes for people to participate from below. There is a new participation. It is the cry of the poor. It is the cry of the land. It is being heard much more in terms of the vaccine issue, in terms of hunger. Yeah. And we must gather these voices and bring them further, because this is also generational. Um, I work a lot with youth who do not have hope. They do not have a dream anymore. They don't blame anyone for it. The world appears to them without hope. And this is often in an indigenous context. And the people in this who give hope are often the older people. So it is important to bring together the generations, because our societies have segregated them. We only meet our peers, as it were, or we meet our office mates, but generations have to come together, because old men must dream dreams and young people must be prophetic. The women are often the most prophetic in times of conflict, because they are not threatening and they can lay a cloth out, a piece of most woven material of their life and of their work, and say, I give you this. The women have great strength in their vulnerability to proclaim peace. And we must listen to the old women. We must listen to the young women who want another way of living, and to the young men who have still some hope left for the land. Because no farmer is rich today. No one working on the land is rich. The market exploits them for their vulnerability and their dispersedness. So this solidarity amongst generations, amongst genders, um, is really the source of the change we speak of. It's not us in institutions and research direction that are going to change things. It's people themselves. And we must part ways so that they can enter more the center stage. And so we're really entering, this has really been a huge process of society. It's beautiful, and you have already discerned such rich themes. They really do express the changes in systemic systems, the approach to global partnerships. I don't want to go through them, but the language in the new narratives that we are forming. You see, other people have taken the narrative of the poor, and it must be given back to them. This Food Security Summit has taken the narrative of the people. This is absurd, and it must be confronted. The corporate world must be engaged. I'm just being told my. So we must keep bringing this awareness and call for voice from the margins to open up the new horizons. You see, with COVID, the banks of the river have burst. There's been a flood, and we're seeing a whole new horizon when we were hiding, as it were, behind the bank. So we have new landscapes to engage with. And the economy, if we talk of ecology, we must talk of economy. There needs to be, as it were, a gender in this as well. All what ICOS is economy and is ecology. And the ICOS has to come into this for economic accountability that meets people's needs. This is the biggest outcry today. Neither land nor life is respected. So this calls for society again, and particularly civil society, to proclaim the value, not in money, but in ethos. Yeah. And this brings me to the next stage, that you're in a very rich but difficult organizational situation, because we are challenged with what you've been talking these days, to hold the tensions together, not to break up. And at the same time, to find the trust that is needed within our societies. So these tensions that are gripping us so viscerally, yeah, these conflicts, we still must listen. We still must understand the sacrifices we've got to make, so that we can walk together. This is a walking together. It's not the walking of Emmaus, where like-minded people suddenly find themselves together at a dining table. This is, we want to go different ways, but we must stay together for the sake of the planet, for the sake of humanity. And we must find solutions, not technical solutions, human solutions, compassionate solutions. reconciling. One of the sad stories in, you know, um, the book um, of the Gospels, as it is a book of the land at the same while, is that the ark was the only point of reconciliation. And remember, the ark brought all the life forms of the planet together and humanity. And it really is a covenant of the ark we're struggling with today. So these tensions, we have to hold the poor closer and maybe the rich even closer so that we can be together. We have to transform together and find purpose in society. Our societies must find renewed purpose. This is what all your themes are talking about. They're wonderful. The purpose of belonging to a community, the purpose of the family, the community, our societies. Yeah, it must not simply be a global city. There must also be room for villages. We've lost that wording. And finally, in a sense, most important in this, I really feel from the generation that I am, are the youth. The youth are most vulnerable. And if the youth are not engaged effectively in this process, they will have a very distorted understanding of what leadership is. Yeah, a leadership of service is needed, not of frustration and exhaustion and anger. I lose too many youth to armed groups. To lose one is one too many. We must have hope, and we must share that hope with the youth, and they must be able to have the confidence to engage our societies, to engage our local government, um, and experience a reciprocity. This is what we need. Um, so we need, as Father Julia was talking, that courage. Um, we need, as we bear our soul to God, um, we need to receive the compassion from God and from neighbor and share that with neighbor, with family and with friends. So it brings us, in a sense, to where we started, the gratitude, the forgiveness, the healing, the accompaniment, and in this way we can celebrate. My final word on the celebration and the joy is that I love the words of Adolfo Nicolas, who was a great friend of ours in the Philippines before he went to Rome. And he always used to talk to me about celebrating failure. What you celebrate with failure is that you can come together again. You can begin again. You have learned something. And this is what we're doing here. It's a wonderful, grace-filled learning experience. Amen.